Well, hello and welcome once again to the DCL podcast, where we're inviting you to sit back, relax, and we'll be on our way shortly.
Well, welcome back to the DCL podcast, your podcast to cruise a little smarter. I'm your host, Lake, and I do not have a co-host today, but that is A-OK. We have another exciting episode to discuss with you. First-time Disney cruisers, but not first-time cruisers, so we'll get to talk about a little compare and contrast because they have a pretty good portfolio of a variety of cruise lines, which I'm excited to get into, but also big Disney lovers as well. And we are talking about the Disney Wish, which I feel like we have not discussed for a little while, which is crazy because that is the most frequent sailing you could possibly go on, and those 3 and 4 nights are a lot of people's first sailings, as we will get into here. But I would like to welcome our guest to the show. We'd like to welcome Miranda today. Miranda, how are you?
I'm good. Hi, Lake. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for agreeing to come onto the show and filling out the Be a Part of the Show entry form. We do appreciate our guests and future guests using that. It does help us organize what shows we're talking about and when. But why don't you go ahead and start by telling our listeners a little bit about your Disney and cruising background?
Oh gosh, my family's been going to Disney for years and years. Disney is where my husband and I got married. We got married at the wedding pavilion there and had a reception. Disney is where I ran my first marathon. Actually, my first race ever was at Disney. Probably my Disney companion is my sister. We've been traveling together for years. And at some point, we knew we always wanted to take a Disney cruise. But when you did the comparison with the cost and how many days you could sail, it never kind of made financial sense to us. But then we realized, I don't think people go on a Disney cruise based on the things that we were looking at. And we thought, you know what, after COVID had lifted some restrictions and stuff, we thought, you know what, let's do this. The Wish was coming out and we thought, let's do the Wish.
Awesome. We will definitely circle back, especially discussing some compare and contrast with other cruise lines about whether you thought that price point was worth it in the end. Well, first off, what itinerary you booked? You already mentioned the Wish, and then how you got to Florida and if you did any pre-night stays.
Okay, yeah. We actually chose the Wish because it was only that 3-night sailing, because we didn't really have to take off work to do that. So it wasn't like our main vacation for the year. It was just that Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, which worked out really well. We actually were at Disney, so we stayed at the beach club the night before, which was really exciting because we got to ride the Disney Cruise Line bus, so that was exciting to see that pull up. We had a little luggage fiasco when we got on. Our luggage didn't show up for a long time.
Moving on from that, though, you arrive at Port Canaveral. What did you think of the port and check-in experience?
That actually went very smooth. There were a lot of people there by the time we had showed up. I don't know if that's because we had taken Disney transportation to get there. We were actually boarding group 2. And it was funny because when they started calling the boarding groups, they called boarding group 1 and nobody even got up to go board. So they said, okay, boarding group 2. So then we got up and we entered through the big Mickey ears, which is exciting if that's your first time. And we were probably one of the first 10 families on the ship. So that was really cool to see that without a big crowd for the first time. After that, we did go right up to the Marceline Market to get some lunch. That's the buffet style restaurant. At that time, I do believe one of the sit-down restaurants, I think it was 1923, was open for lunch as well if you wanted a sit-down, more dining experience. But we kind of like the excitement of going up on the deck and looking at the buffet for the first time. And so it was kind of cool. We just kind of sat there and relaxed. We did see some dolphins out in the ocean already. So it was a good way to start.
So I would love to backtrack just a little bit to that actual embarkation, because as you've sailed other cruise lines, a lot of times it's, okay, we're on the ship. Where do we go now? With Disney, It is a little bit different. It's a little bit more of a grand entrance. What did you think of that?
Oh, they do, they do announce your name. like whatever your family's name is. With us, they just said, now welcoming Miranda and Lacey. So, and then they clap. And, I think there was like if I remember correctly, I think there was like I want to say fairy godmother, but not the actual fairy godmother. There was a cast member dressed up with like a wand there.
Okay. And after you had your lunch, where did you head then?
We did take the tour of the workout center and the spa, which I kind of found it was a little different than other ships that we've been on. Mostly the workout centers or the gyms are kind of in the front of the ship. So when you're on the elliptical or the treadmill, like you're looking out over the ocean, like you're going with the ship. This one was on the side of the ship, and it was a little smaller than what I thought. They do have some raffles that you can put your name in for different treatments and things like that. I don't remember if we did that or not, but we didn't stay in the gym. We actually went to the spa area. Now, anybody can use the spa, the locker rooms and stuff like that. They do have some like steam showers in there. They have a relaxation room. You don't have to pay for treatment to be able to use those. So we were in the process of doing the steam shower in the relaxation room, and an alarm went off, one of those beeping, and it said, "You must evacuate. Please evacuate this area." So we actually didn't know what to do. We didn't have any shoes on or anything. And we're like, oh, where do we go? Where do we go? And a lady had come in here and said, oh, we asked her, well, where are we going? Are we going outside? Why are we evacuating? And she said, okay, just stay put for a minute. And she went for a couple minutes while this alarm was going off. And then she came back and told us, it's okay, you can stay here. So we thought that was odd. We never heard any kind of alarm go off on a cruise ship before telling us we had to evacuate the area. But then at that point, we got our clothes and we had gone, and we went up to, I think by that time we were able to get in our room. So we went in our room. It was rainy out. So at that point, they weren't sure if they were going to have the sail away party outside or inside. It did clear up a little bit, and we were able to go outside for the sail away party.
What kind of cabin did you book, and how did you feel like that worked for you and your sister?
We had a deluxe veranda room, and it was great. If you're ever on the fence of like, oh, should I spring for a balcony room or not? Like, always do it. It's definitely worth it. But I will tell you, I have been on cruises where I've had both, deluxe balcony rooms, I've had inside staterooms, and I've had just an ocean view room. And I will always either pick an inside room or a balcony room. Me personally, I think those ocean view rooms kind of make me motion sickness, like being able to see but not going out there. Does that make sense? I know everybody's different, but
Yeah, the ocean views are actually some of my favorites, especially on Disney. They have ones that are the big portholes up on the higher decks, and I love those rooms because you get the view, but the room stays so nice and cold because you're not opening your balcony to go out there.
that's true.
So you get settled in your room. Was your muster drill next?
Yeah, I think we did we obviously went to a muster drill. That was really quick. I think we met in one of the lounges, and then we were off to be able to do whatever we wanted. By that time, we came back and we were getting our luggage piece by piece. It hadn't all come at one time. And our dinner that night was at 1923. So we both had some dresses that we wanted to wear to dinner specifically. So we were waiting for that luggage to come. Once it did come, I actually went up to the laundry room. And this was the first time I've ever seen a laundry room, or I went to a laundry room on a cruise ship. And this one was called Fairy Tale Laundry. And let me tell you, this was beautiful. They had just rows and rows of washers and dryers and ironing boards. I went specifically just to do ironing. We actually, just together, my sister and I had a little hiccup. When I went to the laundry room, I accidentally picked up her phone and took it with me. And I even mentioned to her, hey, I have my phone if you need anything, because she was dealing with the whole luggage situation at the time, trying to find her other piece. And so I'm upstairs or doing the ironing, and I realized that I had her phone. So now she's in a panic, probably thinking she lost her phone and her luggage. And I'm thinking, oh no, she probably went out to the deck where we were for the sail away party, thinking that maybe she lost it out there. So anyway, I come back, she comes back a couple minutes later, and we get everything figured out. I did feel like we were a little rushed for our dinner, but we did make it downstairs in time for our dinner at 1923. At 1923, there are two sides to the dining room. There's the Roy Disney and the Walt Disney. And ultimately, it's the same dining room, but two different entrances and like artifacts and things to look at when you get in there. So when we sat at our table, even though we were running late, we were actually the first two to arrive. And we were at a table with two other couples. So it was a table of six. It was like a long table. And something funny, kind of endearing though, is we were the last ones to stay as well. And when the other two couples had left, the waiter had came over and asked how we were feeling and if we were okay sitting with those other people since we did not know them. Were we okay with that? Because if we weren't, for the next meal, he would make other arrangements so we could sit by ourselves. And we said, no, that's fine. We had a fine time, meeting other people. But we thought that was a really nice touch for him to come and say, are you okay sitting with people you don't know?
Yeah, my wife and I have had a couple experiences where we've sat with that. And actually, our first two cruises, we had great experiences. They put us with, other couples our age. Like, we had a really great time. We've only had one time where we were sat with people and it was a little bit of a miss. And that was only because there was kind of a language barrier between us, unfortunately. But usually they do pretty good pairing you up with, at least like-aged people.
Yeah, it was great. Actually, we had a couple from Orlando, so we had things to talk about. And then another couple from a city that my sister used to live in. So it worked out fine.
Awesome. And what did you think of your first rotational dining meal?
The first rotation, like I said, was 1923, and the theming was like a old Hollywood type theme. And we thought it was great. The meal was great. My sister got the steak. I got the chicken. We got a couple desserts. Probably not my favorite of the meals, but it was a nice way to start our cruise. Nice first dinner.
Love it. Were you early dining then?
We were, I think that's 5:45. So then, of course, afterwards we went to the nighttime show, which was Seize the Adventure, which is a cute little show about, I don't know if it was Mickey or Donald or Goofy. I think it was Goofy was the captain and kind of loses his way. And then, all the other Disney characters appear at some point. It is a live show. But at some point, they did have some technical difficulties. I think somebody's mic went out, so it was paused for a couple minutes. But then when they came back, they kind of reran that scene again. And it was nice. There's a stand up there called Preludes where you can get snacks and drinks and you can get a glass of wine if you want. We actually bought a popcorn bucket. So you can buy popcorn buckets there, just like on the cruise or just like in the parks. And I don't recall how much the popcorn bucket was, but then when you went back, it was only a couple dollars to refill it each time. So we did do that.
Yeah, I love that Season of the Adventure show. It's a great palatable 20 minutes, kind of in and out. Also great if you have children and you're not sure they're going to be able to handle the shows. That's, really quick and kind of kid-friendly in comparison to the next shows that you will see on board. Any other notes from your embarkation day before we move on to your next day?
After that, we went to some of the lounges to watch some of the like game shows that they had going on. Being on cruises before, we've seen a lot of different game type shows, but one that we hadn't seen before that we saw on the Disney Wish was called Heard That. I don't know if that's something they have on all Disney cruises, but that was a really cute game. They had on different sound effects. It could be maybe a commercial or like one of the sounds was like the old internet dial-up that obviously people of a certain age probably wouldn't know what that sound was. But there were a couple adults on stage playing and they didn't even know what it was. So we thought that was funny. So yeah, just some cute games. After that, we were kind of waiting to see that midnight, what is it, the wish goodnight or the kiss goodnight where the chandelier lights up and stuff like that. We didn't know at the time that they do it at 10, 11, and 12 o'clock. We had heard it was just at midnight. So we were trying to stay awake until midnight after such a busy day to begin with. So we kind of wandered up to the top deck and we saw we ran into Daisy's Pizza Pies. So we ended up deciding to get a slice of pizza there, which was actually pretty good. So then after that, we went down and watched the Kiss Goodnight. And then after that, we kind of called it a night ourselves and went back to our stateroom.
Awesome. Well, you wake up the next day and you should be in Nassau, correct?
Yeah, it was raining when we got up. We weren't planning to get off the ship, but it was still kind of up in the air. Like maybe we'll get off for a little bit if the rain clears up. I don't know. But one thing for sure, we knew we wanted to go to the Hero Zone to do the Incredicourse. So we did go back up to Marceline Market and had breakfast. And after that, we headed to the Incredicourse. The Incredicourse is a big, like, blow up obstacle course that you run through. And it's only set up on Nassau Day. So it's not there throughout the whole sailing. So we got in there, we got up there, had to wait in line for a little bit. And as an adult, like, we had so much fun doing this. And there is a height requirement to do this, but I'm not sure what it was because even little kids were doing it. They probably just don't want like toddlers or like kids that can't really walk on their own to go up. There were people of all sizes doing it. There were even some older ladies that were doing it that were probably like in their 70s having so much fun. So that was a really fun time.
Haven't done it myself, but I've heard for adults it's almost more challenging than for kids. Did you find that to be true?
Probably you have to keep your balance and it's full of air, so you're not real steady there. And there's a lot of like climbing up and sliding down and like dodging different like blow up things. It was fun. It was really fun. And I could see, I mean, we had fun as adults, so I can imagine like little kids wanting to do it more than once. So after that, we watched some other people do it because we had fun just watching people do it. Then we went down. They were playing Moana on the screen, so we watched that for a little bit. We had lunch at the Festival of Foods. There was the Donald's Cantina, which I think I've heard about before on the podcast, people loving that. So we got some taco bowls and just kind of sat out on the deck. The rain had cleared up since then, so we just kind of had a nice afternoon. It was kind of windy, so we kind of sat up there for a little bit. At one point, we decided, let's go get a dessert. We checked out the sweet shop, and then we went up to Marceline Market again and got a couple desserts. While we were there, we ended up meeting a cast member. He sat beside us. We weren't at a table. We just kind of sat at one of those countertops that overlook the ocean. So he came and sat beside us and we started talking with him. And something we found really interesting is he said he's not even a Disney fan, but he's a dancer. And we're like, oh, so how did you end up being on the Disney ship? And he said, oh, well, Disney Cruise Line contacted me on social media because they saw some of my posts of dancing. And so they contacted me and said, hey, do you want to work on the ship? And he said, sure. But it was funny because he said, this just isn't for me. He says, I'm going to go move to LA after this. So it was actually fun talking with him. And then after that, we decided we weren't really pleased with the desserts that we got at Marceline Market. So my sister said, hey, let's go down to Tiana's Bayou, which is another lounge there on the ship. And they sell beignets. So we were going to go down and get some beignets. And on the way down in the main lobby, they were setting up for a wedding, and we kind of sat back with everybody else. We weren't like being creepers. We sat like kind of out on a bench in one of the lobbies, kind of just watching while people walked by and stuff. And it was really cute. I'm surprised that they had it right there in the open there where the grand staircase was. But after a while, we got up and we made our way to Tiana's Bayou, and we were told that it was closed. And they said, oh, it's closed because the wedding party had rented it out for a venue. And we thought, oh, well, that's great. But it's not opening up again until 8:00. And right now it's 1:00, or it's almost 1:00. And we just thought that was odd. We were very happy for the couple to be able to celebrate and have their reception or after party there. However, on such a short cruise, to have that venue closed from 1:00 to 8:00 was kind of disappointing, probably for the other thousands of people that were on that cruise. You know what I mean? To be able to close that, because that was a neat little place. We did eventually get to go there, but I would think that that would be a place that people would want to go and check out. And I know that they had some events there. They had trivia. And anyway, it was just a little disappointing to think, oh, it's closed till 8 o'clock. So then I think we went and we just did some other things around the ship. There's some trivia, other places. And there was, at the time, they had the Making of the Wish that we went and we saw that in one of the lounges.
What'd you think of that?
The Making of the Wish. I don't remember a lot of it from watching it there, but I did watch it on Disney Plus, I think prior to even sailing. So it was a little different, but I'm always intrigued with the making of the ships and stuff like that, or even the behind the magic of some of the attractions, even at like Disney World and Disneyland. I always find those intriguing.
Talking about some of the lounges and stuff for a second, we talked about the bayou. What were some of the other spaces on board that you enjoyed or thought were cool?
Well, we did go probably to the bayou the most because they had trivia in there. And then the one evening we did go back they had like a special menu drink that we got.
Should bring you close to dinner time then?
Yes. Dinner this night was actually in the World of Marvel, and it was also pirate night as well. So neither my sister or myself are really big Marvel or Avengers fans, but we appreciated the dinner. I got something that had sea scallops. Actually, I think it was called Mystic Pasta with scallops in it, which was pretty good. I don't remember what she had. We did have a special guest where Spider-Man kind of dances around and the kids like that. Prior to dinner, some of the characters dressed in their pirate outfits had appeared on stage for pictures. So that was fun to see them. And even after dinner as well, they had more characters in their pirate gear. There were actually 2 pirate night shows. There was one, now I'm not sure if this one was supposed to be inside or if they would normally do it outside. But again, I must have went during a rainy season because it was kind of rainy again. So they weren't sure what was going to be outside, what was going to be inside, or even if the fireworks were going to go off. But they had a little show with Disney characters inside on that stage there in you call that atrium or where the grand staircase is. Yeah, okay. So they had a little show there. And then later that evening, they had the pirate show with not Disney characters, but actually people dressed as pirates, and they had the band, and now that was able to go on outside on the deck. And then that's when the fireworks happened.
What did you think of that show? That's typically regarded as a lot of people's favorite pirate night shows.
Yeah, that is great. We were actually up on the adults only deck there. And I remember there weren't a lot of people there. And I remember telling my sister, oh, wow, we got a good view. And then I thought, well, you know what? Everybody has a good view. This was really great. And they do the fireworks to the music, just like they would at a Disney park. So it's a really nice addition to Pirate Night.
Yeah, I love that show along with the fireworks for it. Well, does that bring you to the end of your Nassau day?
Prior to the pirate night outside on the deck, the stage show that night, I believe, was The Little Mermaid. So that was really enjoyable. All the stage shows were top notch. We really enjoyed those. And yeah, I do believe that takes us to the end of Nassau Day.
Well, you wake up the next morning and it is your Castaway day. Have you experienced any other cruise lines like private island experiences before?
Yes, I believe Royal Caribbean. Yeah, they do have a private island that I've been to before. It's been a while, so now it's more built up than it was when I first stopped there.
What were your expectations for Castaway then?
I really didn't have any expectations. The only thing I knew that we wanted to do, having been Run Disney fans, is we wanted to do the Castaway, the 5K. So that was what we had on our list to do. Again, it was raining when we woke up, so we didn't get off the boat right away. Being new to Disney cruising, I had signed up for something called the Royal Gathering, and I didn't really know what it was, but I signed my sister and I up for it. And then when I found out that, oh, it's a meet and greet with the princesses, I said, oh, do you want to do that? We're kind of old to be meeting and greeting with princesses. But because we kind of had some time to kill, because we weren't able to get off the boat right away, I think they were probably drying things off on Castaway. And we decided, we'll do it anyway. So it was our time. So we got in line, and it was fun to get a couple pictures and stuff. And then we did get off the boat. They gave us each, I think, like 4 big towels, which we thought was a little excessive because they were really heavy. You have your beach towel, and then they gave each of us 4 towels. But again, it was probably because, hey, your chairs are going to be wet. Whatever you're going to go sit on is probably going to be wet. So here's some extra towels. So that was nice. One thing that we missed out on, which totally isn't a big deal, but they didn't have like the characters come out like I have seen on other cruisings that or sailings that they've had the characters out on the beach. But they did have like Daisy and Donald and Minnie like in their beach attire on the ship before you left. So you could get some photos there. But we didn't get any beach pictures with the characters like I've seen other people do. The first thing we did is we did do the 5K. When you get off the ship, you do have an option to ride a tram or walk. We did walk. And if you are able to walk, it is a nice walk, because you can go at your own pace and take photos and stuff like that and see the ship behind you. So it is nice if you can walk, you don't have a whole bunch of stuff that you're carrying to the beach. We did have one beach bag, and which brings me to the point when we did the 5K, they do have a box there that you can put your things in. It's not locked or it's not real secure or anything like that. So don't bring any valuables, but you can put your beach bag in this box and close the lid, and it's fairly safe, while you're off doing your 5K. So we did the run, and there are kind of some photo ops along the way. There's no characters like a Run Disney race, but there's some like airplane parts and some different things. There is a tower that you can go up and take some photos from above. So we walked up the tower. About where the tower is, they do have a water station. So they have some water and some cups there. So you don't necessarily have to carry your own water bottle if you don't want to. We finished that up. Our plan then afterwards was we were going to go back to the adults only space, which is Serenity Bay. But we were just so tired. We were so tired after that because it was probably like 98 degrees when we were doing that run that we thought, you know what, we're just going to stay here at Cookies and we're going to eat the lunch here after the lunch. And the lunch is like your typical picnic stuff, hamburgers, hot dogs. I don't know if they had chicken there or not, like potato salad, beans, stuff like that you would normally find. There is a soft serve ice cream machine that you can get ice cream. So after that, we walked to some of the shops. There are 2 main little gift shops. The one in the back, you can buy some Castaway K stuff, the 5K merchandise, you can get that. And then the shop in the front sells a little bit of everything. While we were in the shop, we had a storm that came through, and it rained and rained. And it probably only lasted maybe 8 to 10 minutes. And then afterwards, the sun came out and it was hotter than ever. And you probably would never even notice that it rained. It was so beautiful. But I think that really cleared people out really quick, and everyone went back to the boat. We just took that time. We kind of like walked on the beach for a little bit, relaxed in a hammock. Where the hammocks are placed, it's a really nice view to just sit and watch the ship. They have a water slide type thing, Pelican Plunge, yeah. So we watched some of the kids do that. At this time, the water was kind of cold, so we didn't really spend a whole lot of time in the water, but it was fun watching everybody come down the slide and do their thing. And then after that, we went back to the ship. One thing I do want to mention before we got off to go to Castaway, I just accidentally had pulled out a drawer in our stateroom and noticed that there were 2 postcards in there. I thought, oh, this is cool. So I called down to the lobby or front desk and asked if I could buy some stamps. And the lady there says, well, sure, you can buy some stamps here, or you can buy them at the post office on Castaway. I said, what? There's a post office there? And she said, yeah, you can mail it there. And I thought, oh, well, that's fun. Maybe I'll do that. And she says, but it might not be open. And I thought, yeah, it's the weekend. It's probably not open. And she says to me, yeah, but that's not the reason why. She says, sometimes people just decide not to show up for work. What? So anyway, there is a post office, a functioning post office on Castaway, and you can mail postcards there. So there you go. Of course, I did forget that, and I ended up leaving the postcards in my bag. So I didn't even get to go to the post office.
I totally forgot about that. We have not talked about the post office in so long. Yeah, a lot of the Castaway Island employees actually take a boat to and from I think it's Grand Bahamian, which is the island right there. So yeah, sometimes not everyone, makes it to the island for work that day.
Have you been in the post office?
I have not.
I'll have to put that on your list for next time. Check it out.
I will absolutely check that next time. I have all sorts of things on lists of, oh, I've never done that. I need to do that.
Yeah, just when you think, oh, I've done this before, or I've been to Castaway, or I've been on this ship, when you hear somebody talking about their experience, you're like, oh, wait, I missed that. Or, oh, I'll have to try that next time.
Well, overall, then, what were your thoughts of Castaway as a whole?
I thought it was a nice beach day compared to some of the things on some other islands. Like I think it's a nice calm beach day. I think it's very family friendly, but I personally loved it, but as far as like a lot of things to do, now, of course, we didn't rent some of those other things that you could do, if you rented those things. Can you rent jet skis on Castaway?
I'm not sure if the jet skis are available. At one point there was. There are other things like that, like the banana boats and stuff like that you can still do, as well as they have the other like random self-propelled watercraft and paddle boards and stuff you can do, which is kind of next to the ship.
So I like it just for a beach day, and that's fine for me. So I have no problems. But if you're looking for a lot of excitement, or maybe the Pelican Plunge is exciting enough for you, but I know there are a lot of other things to do on some of those other islands, but I don't like to do those other things. I've done the jet skis on the Royal Caribbean island. I did not care for that. So I wouldn't be looking to do those things. So having this be a nice beach day is perfectly fine with me.
Awesome. Well, then it is time to head back to the ship for your final evening on board, sadly.
Yes. So we actually went back on board, and we were going to go do the water slide that's on board.
Aquamouse?
The Aqua Mouse, yes. And we didn't realize how long the line actually was. So I think that was everybody else's plan too, to go back on board, because it's the kind of the last day that you can do it. And if you haven't done it yet, you wanna get that ride in. So it was just kind of like at a Disney park. You waited to get in line, to get in the queue, to get up to the platform. But that was really cute. We enjoyed it. It was a little bit long. We waited obviously longer than what the ride was, but if you're a little kid, that's really great. I would suggest waiting in line to do that. Our dinner this night was in Arendelle, so that's the Frozen themed dinner. And I will tell you that was probably our favorite one. I didn't know much about this. I didn't want to do a whole lot of research prior because I still wanted to be surprised. And fortunately, we had a table right up against the stage, which was really nice. So it was, let's see, the Frozen characters, Anna and Elsa and Olaf, and a little song and dance. And then afterwards, they came out into the dining room to talk to people. And even being a table with all adults, I'm so surprised like how much time they actually spent like interacting with us, which was kind of nice.
That's awesome. Yeah, what did you think of the like entertainment itself during that?
It was really good. They did singing, they did dancing, they did that while we were eating. The food was really good too. It was probably my favorite menu. The dessert there, I got a butter cake, which I know does not sound very good. It was like a cake with powdered sugar and like cream on top with berries on top. I actually, when I came home, looked up a recipe to recreate that. It was so good. The atmosphere there, from the moment you even get into the dining room, you can tell that, oh, this is going to be based on Frozen. Has a very Norwegian kind of theming, even through the hallway, has like the big portraits of the characters. It really gets you excited for what's going to be in the dining room. The dining room itself looks like a big banquet hall. It's really cute. The theming was really top notch. Disney did a good job on that.
Love it. Well, what else did you get up to into the evening on your final night on board?
Final night. The show that night was Aladdin, and that was probably one of my favorites. The productions on the cruise ships are just so great. And it kind of made me think, gee, I wish they would have these in the Disney parks too, where you could just sit and like in Epcot and watch Aladdin jump from building to building, or it was really nice. Also on the last night, they have a bit of like a farewell type show in the atrium on the stage there. And they bring the characters back out again, which is nice. They do give guests like 15 minutes to get pictures with any characters that maybe they hadn't seen or got throughout the cruise, which was really nice. And after that, we ended up getting Mickey bars sent to our room service the last night. So they sent us some Mickey bars and some drinks up to the room. So that was a nice way to kind of end our cruise.
Awesome. Well, sadly, 3 night sailing is just a little bit short and you have to disembark the next day. What was that process like for you? What did you think of that?
Well, because we carried on, we didn't set our luggage out the night before because we were going to carry it off. We did have time though to go and get breakfast. Breakfast is typically the last place that you dined that evening would be where you would go for breakfast. So ours was in Arendelle. And even if you did have luggage with you, people were just sitting their luggage in the hallway while they went. Now, this is the hallway to get into the dining room. People were just sitting their luggage there. And obviously, nobody bothered it or whatever. So don't be worried, like, oh, I can't go get breakfast because I have these two big bags. What am I going to do with it? People were just lining them up there. And they went in and they got their breakfast. So we had breakfast there. While we were having breakfast, we noticed that our plane was delayed. So we thought, well, so we just took the bus back and went back to Disney World and spent the day there.
Was that the original plan to take the bus to Disney World or?
No, the original plan was we were going to go to the airport. We were going to take the bus because we had paid for a transfer. So we were going to take the bus back to the airport.
So how did you go about switching that then? Or what did you do there?
We just said, hey, we got this transfer. We want to go back to, we got on at the beach club and they just took us back to the beach club.
Oh, interesting. Cool. So they just let you switch, no hassle.
Yeah. Now we were on our own. We ended up getting an Uber then later that night and paid for the Uber to go back to the airport. So it was just, we had paid for a transfer. I guess it really didn't matter where we were going. So they just took us back where they picked us up. And then, like I said, we found our own way back to the airport when it was time.
Awesome. Well, I've got a couple more questions for you then. First off, what were your overall thoughts first time on a Disney cruise, but a pretty veteran cruiser between a variety of lines? How did you think Disney Cruise Line compared?
Well, I loved the experience. I had mentioned to somebody that I said, oh, I loved the experience. I said, I thought the ship was kind of small. And they said to me, really? That's at the time, that's Disney's largest ship. I thought, oh, really? So I thought it was smaller than some of the other like Royal Caribbean or Norwegian ships that I have been on. The entertainment, of course, is top notch. And that's what I think that you pay for, the customer service and the entertainment. As far as maybe some things to do, there's not a bowling alley, there's not an ice skating rink, there's not a rock wall, not that kind of stuff. But that was totally okay with me because there were so many other things to do that I enjoyed that I didn't miss that, but I did take notice that those things were not there. But that was okay with me.
And then you had mentioned earlier about, considering whether the price for a Disney cruise is worth it. Price per day in many cases, it can be a little bit higher compared to some other lines. Did you find it to be worth it?
For me, yes. I specifically liked the shorter sailing because like I had mentioned before, I don't have to take a vacation from work because I do work full time. So I don't have to take a vacation to be able to go do that. I love that it was a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. I wish there were more cruises that were like that. So I think for me, the value was there. Going forward on some other ships. Now, I will tell you, I have another cruise coming up, another Disney cruise this summer. And to look from the outside, is the value there compared to some other ships? Disney's much more expensive, so maybe not, but is it worth it to you as an individual? And to me, I loved it. And that's the same as going to Disney World, going to the parks. Is it expensive? Yeah. Are the resorts to stay in expensive compared to staying at another resort? Yeah. But is it worth it to you? Yeah.
Awesome. Love it. Well, just I think 2 more questions for you here. Did you have any other notable cast interactions you would like to highlight from your sailing?
We really didn't get to talk to many of the cast members. The only one we talked to really was like our server, throughout our dining experience, and the one that we met up at Marceline Market that was telling us about his dancing career. But they were all lovely. I mean, any kind of interaction that we had with them, they were all lovely, but nothing that was like, wow, memorable, like not a conversation that was really memorable.
Okay. And you mentioned you have a sailing coming up this summer. What's next for you?
We do. We're actually sailing on Disney's first cruise ship, the Magic, which I will tell you, like, I don't think I'll be disappointed, but I hope that I'm not disappointed because the Wish is just so magical in itself, it's just beautiful. And I do know the Magic is older. I've heard it's been refurbished though, but it is going to the new island. So Lookout
Key at Lighthouse.
Look at Lighthouse Point, yeah. So that's why we chose that one. And yeah, that one's a little longer sailing.
Yeah, that is a smaller ship, but I actually think the Magic is the most charming of all the ships. I love it so much. The classic ships are just so great. There's really something to love about each class and each ship individually. But yeah, I think the Magic has so much charm. I think you will enjoy it.
What's your favorite thing about the Magic?
Oh, let me think here. I like the Rapunzel theming where you get the Tangled show along with the Tangled restaurant. You just get a really cool theme on that. I actually really like the adult spaces on board the Magic just because it's not quite, the Wish, it's kind of up and off and behind the ship. There's a really nice, more central, dedicated space and pool on that one for the adult spaces. It's connected to the cove. And again, it's just all a little bit more central. And I really like that area. They usually have live music and stuff in the evenings there.
Well, I'm looking forward to it.
Well, we hope you have just an absolutely fantastic next sailing. But Miranda, thank you so much again for coming on and sharing your first Disney cruise with us.
Well, thank you.
Absolutely. But that is gonna do it for this episode. As always, you can follow Christy at Pack Your Pixie Dust or utilize her travel service by clicking the Book with Christy link below. You can follow myself at MouseGen on Instagram and YouTube, and you can follow the podcast at DCL Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, and check us out at Patreon at patreon.com/DCL Podcast. But that is going to do it for this episode. Thank you all so much for listening, and we will see you next time on the DCL Podcast. Bye, guys. Well, it's going to wrap up the show. Once again, we want to thank Miranda for coming on and sharing her and her sister's adventures on the Disney Wish. If you're enjoying the show, we greatly appreciate you leaving us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. We'd also like to thank our Patreons who help make this show happen each and every week for us. You too can help support the show by visiting us at patreon.com/DCL Podcast. Whether you're boarding a cruise, enjoying a trip to the parks, or adventuring outside of Disney, on behalf of myself, Christy, and Steve, we want to wish you smooth sailing and safe travels. And we'll see you next time on the DCL Podcast.
The DCL Podcast is not affiliated with the Disney Cruise Line, Walt Disney Company, Adventures by Disney, or Run Disney. All of the opinions expressed on our shows are those of the hosts and the guests who appear on the show. If you have any questions about any of these products, please contact the Walt Disney Company.